the third card in my Hope, Love, and Joy card class, and the other three being Fill the World with Joy, Wishing You Love, and Fill the World with Joy. So you can purchase a tutorial on how to make all of these. I use the Hope, Love, and Joy bundle, which is very great and very creative. I really love how you can put the different pictures inside of the words, you know, to say different messages. And they're all very positive messages, which I love. This is a beautiful card, the Hope card with the pink ribbon. So we're going to start with our Bubble Bath cardstock. And we're going to cut that in half. So this is going to be an A2 size card. I'm going to cut it at 5.5. And then I'm going to score at 4.25 with my scoring blade. I'm going to go ahead and fold that. My bone folder to make a nice crease on that. The next layer is an embossed layer, and it uses the beautiful pattern embossing folder, and it is one of the thicker ones. It is a 3D embossing folder, even though it doesn't say that on the label. I added that to mine because I like knowing which sandwich I'm going to need. So to do this one, you just need the number 1 plate and the number 4 on top. So it makes this beautiful pattern. Great name, huh? So you can see that. And that's going to go right on top of here. And let's go ahead and add that. Going to use my Stampin' Seal, and I do like to use quite a bit on an embossed piece of cardstock. Because of the embossing, it can make the embossed layer like just give it like it gets a little wavy because of the pressing into the cardstock. So I do use a lot to keep it all down without any buckling. I really love this Bubble Bath color. It's just such a gentle, light, beautiful pink. And the next layer is going to be a Bubble Bath layer that is cut with the Textured Notes die. So this die is not in the bundle. So if you were to purchase this card class, then I would provide this piece already die cut for you. And that's going to go right in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and add that. For this one, I think I will use some liquid glue. It doesn't have to be perfectly in the middle. Let's see. If I use my grid paper, I can basically count over 1, 2, 3, and it's right about there. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, that's actually quite good. Okay, and nice and straight. Now let's go ahead and do our stamping. So we're gonna use the Hope stamp. Which is this one. And I'm just going to let that kind of drop so it's nice and straight. And you do need a nice long block for this one, which is right here. I already got it out. It is the H block because it is a photopolymer stamp. It's good to use a mat. This is the Stampin' Up foam mat. It just has the ever so tiniest bit of give that helps you get a really good impression with the with these type of stamps. You can also just stack up some copy paper. We're going to use our Memento Black. And this is my practice page. It looks pretty good. Now, because it's such a big stamp, if you have like a stamp positioner, you may want to double stamp it so that you can get a darker impression. And that's looking pretty good, but just not quite dark enough. I'm going to try applying it directly this way. Oh yeah, I think that's getting it better. You know, normally you don't want to push too hard, but let's see how that looks. Yeah, that one's better. A little bit better. It almost looks kind of textured there, though. It really doesn't look bad. So the piece of cardstock that I need to stamp this with is our basic white. And that's going to be, I'm going to get out my scraps here, because it only needs to be 3 1/4 by 1 1/8. So, yep, that'll work. Always save your scraps. So 3 1/4 is right there. By 1 1/8. Just making sure it's gonna work. It's so hard to get that right where you want it and then not mess it up when you lift your fingers up. Okay. Okay, so I'll get my mat here. Make sure it's the right size. It is. So let's go ahead and give that a good inking. I hope this works. Ha ha. Little pun there. Okay. Beautiful. Looking good there. All right. Next, I have already stamped my little ribbon. And I'm going to use my bubble bath. This is the lighter Stampin' Blend for bubble bath. I think I'm actually going to use the pen end because these are really little spaces. Just going to color that in with the bubble bath blends marker. You could certainly use your Stampin' Right markers to do this as well. But I am going to do just a tad bit of blending. You don't need a lot of blending on such a small die cut. But you can do a little blending. Okay, so I am no artist at all. But if you kind of think of a light, and I usually think of the light coming this direction, then the darker parts are going to be at this place, and you might get a little shadow right here where that ribbon went over, and in here you probably get some shadowing. And now back to the lighter one, and this time I'm going to switch to the brush tip, and we're just going to kind of blend that in to give it a little more blended color. I'm going to go over this a little bit more too. Nice. Beautiful. Okay. Now this card also has ribbon. You definitely need a pink ribbon on a hope card with the pink ribbon there for breast cancer. And this is the bubble bath. It is the faux linen ribbon. And I'm going to start with 10 inches. Because it's a faux linen, it's a little bit, I hate to say wrinkly, but you know that linen look that isn't, you know, really super flat. So it does have that look. Just going to cut that there. And we'll be putting that on the behind our hope. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go ahead and put some Stampin' Seal on there. And I experimented with this like all kinds of different ways. So I want it to look like that. So I need it to go that direction on the back. So I've got my ribbon and I want to put it kind of at an angle like that. Yep, that is gonna work. When that gets on the card, it'll be very, very beautiful. Okay, so I'm gonna add some more Stampin' Seal to the ends. Could even put a little bit on top of that ribbon. Whoops, I don't want to put it there. I want to put it on my new card. There we go. We're going to put that about centered. Okay. And then we'll just trim the ends here at an angle. And to put on our ribbon, I'm going to use a dimensional. Love using scraps. I'm almost out of scraps. But you want to use every bit of your Stampin' Dimensionals. Make sure it's going to fit. Yes, it will fit. Put that right there, peel that off, and instead of the O, we have our ribbon representing the O. Isn't that beautiful? So the finishing touch on the front, I'm using the Strawberry Slush in Pretty and Pink Gems, and I'm using the pink ones, not the Strawberry Slush, but the pink ones in the middle. And I'm going to put a large one here. I'm going to put one of the small ones here, and then another small one right here. I think this is that the right color? It is the right color. Okay, now for the inside of the card, we are going to cut a piece of white cardstock, 5 1/4 by 4. I'm going to do the 4 first, and then the 5 1/4. And in the corner, I'm going to stamp that same ribbon to bring that motif through. And I'm going to color that in with the Bubble Bath Blends. just like I did for the one on the front. And I want to make sure this is good and dry so it doesn't bleed. I usually will stamp these in advance when I know I'm going to be coloring with the blend, so to make sure that they're nice and dry to help the ink not bleed. So we'll see how this goes. Also be careful not to get too close to the edge. And the pen tip really helps with that, I think. On larger areas, you definitely want to use the brush end. Now we're going to give a little, not going to do as much as I did on the front. And then we're going to blend that with the lighter color. I like it. I tend to overblend. And then we're just going to put that in this one. You don't need much Stampin' Seal at all because it is really strong. And this isn't even the Stampin' Seal Plus. Stampin' Seal Plus is even more powerful. And we just put that on the inside. And voila, our third card, Hope. Thanks for watching.